is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sky Tour Radio here on kgraradio.com. This is Mark D'Antonio here with my new and effervescent, not new, but effervescent as always, co-host Amanda Curran. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Mark.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. And guess what else? We have Daryl Mason joining us. Hey, Daryl, what's up?
Hello, Mark. Ta-da. Amanda's busy tonight, as she usually is. That's the effervescent part. I'm good, thank you. How are you all doing? And hello, everybody.
Yeah, I'm doing fine, and I'm glad that you guys are doing great. You know, I wanted to welcome all of you listeners, wonderful listeners, best audience on earth, to the broadcast. You know, if you want to see astronomy up close and personal, why not think about Sky Tour live stream? It's the companion stream to Sky Tour Radio. See, it's all things Sky Tour. And Sky Tour live stream, or STLS, is available on YouTube and the channel, and it's a clear night journey through the wonders of the deep sky, all courtesy of our research-grade telescope here at the John Zach Memorial Observatory in northwestern Connecticut. Now, the observatory's location will change. Hopefully soon, actually. It's going to be in Arizona, moving to the desert where it's going to be very, very dark and clear, so we'll have better views. But in the current setup, we actually see wonderful stellar birthplaces. We see remnants of dead and dying stars. We see glittering jewel boxes that are clusters. And it's a stream where you can be in charge, where you can come along and say, hey, can you look at this or look at that? Or what kind of things are planetary nebulae? What are those? And what are supernova remnants? And no, you can ask questions. And being an astronomer, I'll answer them for you. It's really a very personal experience, one-on-one, you know, if you want it to be. So we have a very active chat group that's presided over by Amanda and Daryl and myself. And you guys, being the greatest and most knowledgeable audience on the earth, ask the greatest questions. So check it out if you want. Sky Tour live stream on YouTube. Now, lastly,
can I pipe in there real quick?
Pipe away.
Hey, Mark had a great spell of good weather in Connecticut, and I think he streamed 7 days out of 8 or 8 out of 9, something like that.
Yeah,
and I was privileged to participate several nights. Mark has been kicking butt with his recent imaging, and you really need to come look and watch and listen and have fun and join the club. It's just been some kick butt live streams recently. So there.
Wow. I like that. Yeah. And he's right about the processing, because when we take the photos, we're taking raw photos, and then we convert them and we process them to show what the data that's really hiding behind the picture. And when you see it, you find yourself looking at stunning wonders, gas clouds that have dark nebulae wound through bright emission nebula, and it's just beautiful. It may not be readily apparent at first, but then when you see it later, you can't miss it. So,
and you can check out all the finished results on our Facebook page at Sky Tour Livestream on Facebook.
That is correct. Sky Tour Livestream is also on Facebook. Thank you, Amanda. I forgot to mention that. And we also have an email if you have any questions for us. If you want to ask Daryl or Amanda or myself any questions, our email is skytourradio@kgraradio.com. Now, that said, tonight on Sky Tour Radio, what are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the trip to Norway. I had to go to Norway to do a series of talks. It was part of something called the New Sciences Tour that I came up with Ket Thorvaldsen, who was also, she's in Norwegian, and she and I spearheaded this effort to create a new look at an old science. Her specialty is going to be astrophysics from a different perspective than the perspective we normally see in astrophysics. There's not going to be any equations and deep, dark secrets hiding within numbers. It's actually going to be a very different foray. And she's writing a book now that will be out eventually, hopefully sooner than later, that's going to discuss it and show you everything that's going on. So my purpose was to show where our current science fails us, okay? Because we believe in astronomy. My science is astronomy, of course, as you know. And in astronomy, we find that there are certain things that have happened in the universe that we cannot explain, or in some cases accept, and we end up making all kinds of we kind of make up stuff a little bit, not a lot, but what happens is there are reasons why certain things like dark matter and dark energy have come into being, and we're going to talk about that tonight to show you why they're necessary, because otherwise things don't work. The science falls right on its face without them. So the hunt is on for these mysterious things that don't make any sense. And for now, though, where our science falls on its face has to do with a lot of the ways in which we learned science in the first place, and mostly the way we understand the universe as it is now. We don't know the universe, believe it or not, and we're going to talk about that here as we move forward. So the Exoplanet Roundup will be back next week. We do have plenty of exoplanets that have been found. There's some, there's 3 Earth-like planets that have been found near the Earth, not in our solar system, but elsewhere. But we'll talk about those as we move forward. But first, I want to actually go down and go down this path with Daryl. Daryl has a very interesting take on the Fermi paradox. And I would like to have him describe it to you and have you, and then open the discussion to Amanda, myself, and anyone else that wants to discuss it. Remember, we have that active chat here on KGRA. So, Daryl, tell us a little bit about the Fermi paradox.
Well, the Fermi paradox was formulated by Enrico Fermi way back 1950, I think. Mr. Fermi was a scientist. He was involved in nuclear physics and all sorts of things. He speculated, because there are like quadrillions of stars out there or more, hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. What is the likelihood that we're not alone in the universe? Amanda, you can go ahead and post those 2 links in chat if you want. Fermi paradox and the Drake equation. Where is everybody, as Mr. Fermi said. And it gets pretty deep into things, and I think it goes beyond science into philosophy and maybe even wishful thinking a little bit. The Drake equation is a part of this. I'm only going to talk about this in very general terms, actually. You can Google Fermi paradox and Drake equation if you like. The Drake equation factors into trying to figure out the likelihood of, is there anybody else out there? The Drake equation, Mr. Drake tried to take a look a long time ago about how many other races, beings out there might be. He came up with an equation which has 7 factors. The average rate of star formation in the galaxy, the fraction of those stars that have planets, the average number of planets that can potentially support life per the star that has planets, the fraction of planets that could support life that actually do develop life at some point, then the fraction of planets with life that actually go on to develop intelligent life. Call that civilizations, if you will. Then the fraction of civilizations that develop a technology that releases detectable signs of their existence into space. And finally, the length of time for which such civilizations release detectable signals into space. Now, the Drake equation, this is like baseball. It's very much a game of percentages, okay? Because each of those 7 factors multiplied together is a fraction or a percentage, and you can rapidly turn great big numbers into really little numbers. That is, there could be a lot of potentials out there, and once you factor everything together, it can become a vanishingly small number. Again, just talking in general terms. If you look at the Fermi paradox article that Amanda hopefully posted, there's some speculation that odds are maybe 2 in 5 that we're alone in the galaxy, and I think they said maybe 1 in 3 that we are alone in the universe. Well, this gets into the philosophy instead of the pure science. For me, as has been said by greater minds than mine, and all the enormity of space and time, all the billions of galaxies in our universe, etc., it would be a terrible waste of space if we were all alone, okay? You can get into stuff like panspermia, all different theories of life. Some say life is the organizing principle in the universe, and that it's bound to happen. I like to think that we are not alone. As Carl Sagan once said, in the immensity of time and space and the cosmos, we are a little lonely. Okay. And it would be nice, but as Stephen Hawking, the famous physicist, once said, he was of the opinion that we should not be announcing our presence to the universe, that we could be calling down ruination upon ourselves if there are other species out there, other races, and if they're not peaceful, that we could bring down whatever conquest or, people looking for resources or whatever. It's all fascinating to think about, though. The one thing that has really changed from all the old looks at the Fermi paradox and the Drake equation are the results coming from the exoplanet survey satellites, that we are finding a whole lot of more potentially habitable planets, exoplanets out there than we might once have ever imagined. Some say there may be as many as 40 billion planets capable of sustaining life in our galaxy.
That's right.
And the numbers can get really big or really small. Again, like, if you're into baseball and you know what sabermetrics is, those guys who crunch baseball statistics, well, those percentages can get really small or really big. And that's about it right now. We have never detected a signal. I have said before, I shudder to think sometimes what some warlike alien species might think when they detect old I Love Lucy reruns coming from us. I mean, if I was a warlike alien species and I picked up I Love Lucy reruns, I'd probably declare interstellar war, okay? That's pretty much it in a nutshell. I highly encourage you to go look at the Fermi Paradox article. Look at insider.com if you're not in chat. And the Drake equation, which is just the Wikipedia page. And it'll really get the gears turning in your head to consider the possibilities.
Yeah, that's very good, Daryl. Thank you so much for that. That's
sure.
Excellent, excellent take on it. I have to say, when Stephen Hawking did say that we shouldn't announce ourselves, he was 2.7 billion years too late. And that's because when our oxygen atmosphere built up, it was visible when it reached sort of a crescendo 2.7 billion years ago. We had plenty of oxygen generating life forms here on the planet. So we were sending a signal 2.7 billion light years out from that point that life is here. All right. And it's reached 2.7 billion years as of course, today, light years. And so it stands as a sentinel in the universe. And if you are a carbon-based life form, you're going to look for life like you. And if you are looking for life like you, it means you have to find oxygen-bearing planets because you require oxygen to keep your energy levels up and to make energy. So if that's the case, then carbon-based life forms are going to be prevalent and looking for other oxygen atmospheres. And we've been announcing our presence for as long as that, as I said. So clearly,
wouldn't any planet sending off any mass amount of anything kind of set off signals, even if it wasn't carbon or oxygen?
actually, if it wasn't, well, planets all reflect light, obviously, and their atmospheres, if they have them, will have a certain chemical composition. That chemical composition can be deduced and inferred, like the James Webb satellite. The James Webb telescope will be up. And when it goes up into the L2 Lagrange point, beyond the moon, it's going to be able to detect whether it's going to infer, actually, whether there's oxygen in an atmosphere. And we're only 5,000 years into keeping our written history, if you go back to ancient Sumeria and the cuneiform tablet language. So in that 5,000 years of history keeping that we've been doing, we already know how to detect oxygen in another planet's atmosphere. That is a tiny pinprick of time on the scale of the universe, you see. So if they see oxygen in particular, it's going to be something that means something to them if they're carbon-based. And they're going to make a beeline here just to see what it's all about, probably, just like we will. We're going to go.
No, I know, but like, okay, since we need oxygen to breathe, we're looking for planets that have oxygen signatures that it's giving off.
Yep.
But even if a planet gave off like massive amounts of helium, just because we can't breathe it, wouldn't that still be a signal that something unusual is going on that planet? Like, even if it was like a massive emission of something other than oxygen, would that still not get our attention, or would we just not care?
I think that gets into the quote-unquote life as we know it thing.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, just because we don't need helium to breathe, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, certainly, if it's not life as we know it, we might not recognize it at all.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm full of Star Trek references.
Yes.
If it was that big of a signature, wouldn't we investigate?
Here's my theory on that. Okay, I would say that we won't do that first. We would investigate signatures that have signatures like our home world, and our signature here is oxygen. Why carbon? I mean, carbon's number 8 in the periodic table. The other thing about carbon that's very fascinating is that it, far beyond silicon, which is another one. No, people say, oh, what about silicon-based life? Well, carbon is the granddaddy of all the elements. What's that mean? It means that carbon bonds with more things, creates more compounds than any other element in the periodic table, meaning it's the most versatile, meaning it's the most capable of supporting complex life structures. And so we find that carbon, being the heart of DNA, is very important. All right. We find that carbon, being the heart of every creature on this planet, means that this is probably some kind of template that the universe delivers. The universe delivers lots of carbon here. It also delivers oxygen a little bit. The Earth makes oxygen. The universe delivered lots of water here. The Earth made some water itself, but mostly delivered. And it's all based on a carbon-structured life. So we would probably think it's really curious that we might see lots of, say, helium, as you said, from a planet. But we would go for the one that has oxygen first, because that's the one that's going to stand to be potentially more like us. Do you see?
Yeah, but do you not think we might be missing out?
Well,
just because they're not like us. I mean,
yes.
What if it was a whole intelligent civilization, but they breathed helium? By not looking, like, wouldn't it still send a big enough signal that it should catch our attention? And would we not be missing out by only looking for oxygen or carbon-based?
We may not recognize it as such if it's not, life as we know it, quote unquote. Here comes the Star Trek reference. Remember, we've talked about silicon, for instance, before. Silicon, in comparison to carbon. Remember the rock monster, the Horta, on the original Star Trek that was burrowing around down underground and laying eggs, and the miners thought it was a monster and it was just trying to protect its eggs, no kill eye, and all that sort of thing. Well, it took Kirk and Spock and McCoy to figure out that it was a living, breathing life organism.
Right.
And I don't think we've got there yet. Hopefully we'll have the acumen to recognize it when and if we see it, if and when we see it.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, all right, Jupiter's moon Io, it expels copious amounts of sulfur. So could there be sulfur-based life forms causing that? And is it a signal to us? Well, no, we don't consider that a signal because we recognize that although sulfur is a very important component in our DNA and our carbon-based life structures, incidentally, it's not a basis for life as we know it. That's true. So are we missing out? Well, yeah, but where do we draw our lines? We have to say, first and foremost, we're going to go to places that have air like ours, oxygen like ours, an atmosphere that's mostly nitrogen, possibly with some oxygen. We'll be able to determine that. The composition of our atmosphere is likely based on the amounts of the little blue-green algae that first started out here just under 3 billion years ago and started building up, just over 3 billion years ago, and started building up the atmospheric oxygen in our atmosphere. So our world is what it is by this circuitous path that involved, as I said before in past shows, 5 major extinction events. We are just how we are because of these extinctions. We might have been a very different life form had the dinosaurs not died. Okay, interesting too, because I was on Carol Carl's show the other night, and it was sort of like a last-minute guest because she had another guest and it didn't pan out, so I went on the show, and she asked some very good questions too. And when we talk about life elsewhere, you want to ask what does that mean? What is life? I mean, there's whole philosophies to that. What's alive mean? Well, we know what things mean. Okay, basically aging and reaching a point where it no longer functions. That could be considered life. Something that's self-aware. Well, what does that mean? You can go down that whole list. Figure out
something that reproduces.
Well, yeah, that's the other one. Yeah, that's the third one. Yeah, it does reproduction as well. Okay, so that's considered life. But we also know there's certain chemicals and processes, chemistry processes that will spawn other sub-processes of themselves. Is that life? I mean, it gets muddy in those weeds. So I think that we're probably going to, go looking for life that is like us first. Why? Because we know what that looks like. We know what to expect. Maybe we'll see industrial pollutants in an atmosphere along with oxygen. And that'll give us an idea of where a civilization might be in its evolution. Might be like us. Might be ahead of us by 1 million years. Maybe they are already off the planet, off-world, as they say, and living in their solar system and taking care of the planets around them. See, so there's all kinds of ways this can go. But I do think that carbon, being the most versatile instrument for life structures in the universe, will probably be leading the way. I do believe that. Silicone is a vastly distant second when it comes to the capabilities and bonding structures that are available to it. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm happy looking for carbon-based life now because we're going to have to leave here someday. We have to. Our sun in about 5 billion years is probably not going to survive. I mean, it's going to die, and when it does use up all its hydrogen, it's going to swell into a red giant, eating Mercury, Venus, and maybe Earth. And there's no surviving that. Now, at that point, the interesting thing is Saturn's moon Titan looks a little more viable because there might be radiation leaving the sun that will make Titan a little bit more hospitable, believe it or not. And that would be kind of interesting. But again, in the time that Titan would have to develop any type of life forms, whether us or somebody else or its own, the sun would, of course, begin to either pulsate or shrink down to a white dwarf, and there wouldn't be time for life to come and arise on Titan at all. So it's really interesting, how this works. Now, I do know that tonight's show we're talking about some of these conundrums and stuff that Daryl's been talking about. Amanda has good questions as always, and I'm getting good questions in the chat too. So there's pretty good questions as well. So when we come back from the break, we will bring up some of these questions, and we will also move on to our main feature, which is where astronomy fails us. Where does it fall on its face, and what does that mean? We'll be right back. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda and Daryl on Sky Tour Radio.
Feeling sluggish, bloated, gassy, and, well, want some relief? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Our unique blend of all-natural herbs go to work on your digestive tract, giving you So before you try our super strength formula. It does a great job removing intruders that jack you up. Thousands of people use Life Change Tea every month, so try it because you're gonna love the way you feel. And here's a little pick-me-up. Order now and receive 10% off your first order by entering in 10 today in the coupon code. That's 10 today in the coupon code. Go to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Enter 10 today in the coupon code for your 10% discount. Wow, feeling good never felt so good. Get some tea love at getthetea.com. Changing America one tea bag at a time.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to try to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. And recently I started having a nagging bicep pain and I couldn't lift weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend of mine, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in the veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and I'm back in the gym full strength. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim helps promote cardiovascular health. Talk to a trained consultant, or you can call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-8221. That's 877-882-7221. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. I'm Mark D'Antonio. I think if I'm really who I say I am. I mean, you never know, because with the Matrix and other movies, you kind of feel like, well, you're just, it's all an illusion or something like that. There's so many illusions out there. But one thing that's not an illusion are the things that we see in the universe. And I think that when we look at our universe, we start with our solar system. And there's a lot of cool things that are happening in our solar system. I think Amanda has something she wants to mention, too, about a question that might have come in for us about the solar system. Yes, Amanda?
I do. Yes, Kathy had a question about Mars, actually.
Okay.
She wants to know if you had read a specific article that she sent us. I guess a NASA astronomer had said the world isn't ready for the implications of the discovery, meaning of the life on Mars. She was just wondering if you guys had read the article and if you had any thoughts on it. I know you were discussing it during the break, so.
Oh yeah, well that's Dr. Jim Green's article, which I did read actually.
Nice.
He's his concern, actually, his hope and concern is that we will find life on Mars in the next few months, and it's possible. It's very possible that we may. There are, well, Curiosity, by the way, the rover Curiosity is still tooling around Mars, has been doing it since 2012, which is an amazing feat for a 90-day rover. Okay, it's truly a science library the size of a Volkswagen, driving around on Mars. And it has all the tools. It's the most complete science laboratory ever put on Mars so far. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of questions it brings up. Now, one of the things that could be relevant is that there was a radar study done of Mars looking for subterranean water. And, it was a 12-year study, I think. And in that time, they actually found that below the Martian South Pole, where the temperatures are frigid most of the time, was an actual water lake. And it was many kilometers long, so it means that under pressure from the overlying rock and so forth, the water could exist as a liquid, because water existing as a liquid is all about pressure and temperature, of course. So under the weight of overlying strata, it was possible that the underlying strata was brought up to beyond the freezing point, and it was also under enough pressure so that water could exist there. Now, because this lake has been there probably for millennia, maybe longer, possibly billions of years, we don't know, then it's possible that maybe there's life forms there. Now, I don't mean there's little green Martians running around going, hey there, how you doing, Frank? Hey, Torg, how are you? Nothing like that. But I do think it's possible that we'll see microbial life there. And so that's a very interesting take on it. And, Dr. Green suggests in that article that, if we find life, it's going to give scientists, as he says, a new set of questions to explore. And that's true, because here it's carbon-based life. There it'll also probably be carbon-based, but it will be a variation we probably haven't seen before. And that's kind of cool. Daryl, what do you have to say about this? You must have some ideas on this.
The implications of life elsewhere other than Earth, if and hopefully when we do find it, I think will be profound. Again, this is getting more into philosophy as much or more than science, quote unquote. When we learn that we are not alone in the universe, but if and when we finally answer that question, I think it's going to have profound effects on the human psyche, okay? This could be a good thing. It could be not such a good thing. Hey, if we find microbial life on Mars, well, golly, we will at least know that 2 out of 8 or 9 planets orbiting around Sol, our sun, have life. That just increased the chances of us finding life elsewhere eventually manifold. Beyond that, though, it gets into the whole question of if and when we find intelligent life. Another Star Trek reference, Spock said in Star Trek II, the Wrath of Khan, in a slightly different context, a greatly different context, they are either unwilling to respond or they are unable to respond or they are unwilling to respond. Okay, are we in a cosmic quarantine? Are they watching us? Are they not talking? Are they unable to talk to us? Are they really out there?
Earth is a giant penal colony.
There you go.
Right.
And I know some people look at it that way.
I know.
But boy, just the idea of us discovering life, period, like bugs on Mars is one thing. But if and when we find other intelligent life, I mean, that's going to be absolutely ground shaking. That's going to that's going to mess up thousands of years of religious doctrine. And what's it mean to be human, quote unquote? It's going to be earth shaking. Now, just looking at human history, when more advanced species have met more when more advanced cultures have met less advanced cultures, it typically destroys a less advanced culture or alters it irreparably. I mean, you could look anywhere on the globe here, Native Americans, Australian Aboriginals, you name it, that they had trouble even surviving the contact. Would that ultimately help crush humanity?
Yeah, see, that's a really good question, Daryl. And one of the things that I look at, and in my book I wrote, I used Easter Island as a sentinel in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that represents the Earth in the cosmos. Easter Island was destroyed by war, famine, and also bugs basically delivered by visitors from Chile and other countries. And it was a civilization in decline. And now it's the Moai statues that are on Easter Island. It's like they're looking off the island, supplicating the gods at some great distance away to help us, stay alive, help us live. And so I don't want to be a builder of a Moai statue. I want to be a leader who, as a human race, I want to see the human race be leaders in the search for other intelligences. And no doubt we're going to find more advanced intelligences. But I do think that if, and I believe this to be true, so I say if just to, just keep it semi-scientific opinion. If there's other life out there that is advanced, and if they have come here, which personally I think they may have, they would probably view us as a very complex young species. They wouldn't look at us as ants. I bristle at that, and I don't think they would look at us as ants and just step on us. If they've made it to the point where they can go interstellar, they would probably look at us as a burgeoning life form who isn't to be wiped out, but is to be studied. And I think this relates to how we handle elk populations and bears. We tranquilize them and then we tag them and let them go, maybe, the people that get, sinus implants are being tagged, but in a way that the really interesting and creative humans might have otherwise figure out if we don't just stick it way up in the sinus somewhere where they might not notice it.
Well, I can't say what I was about to say. I mean, the second word is probes, okay, and I'll leave the first word to you. Yeah, that could be. Golly.
Very clever species.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, you want Star Trek references? Do you remember the Ionians? Was it the Ionians or the Icosians? Whatever were they? Who was it? Dr. McCoy left his communicator there, and Kirk said, "Well, you know what this means? They will disassemble this and figure out how it works." And then Spock says, "Yes, and they'll learn about transdator technology, blah blah blah." And said, "And then before long, the Ionians will demand a piece of our action." And that was the end of the episode. It's very funny.
That was the gangster episode, yeah.
Really, really funny. Yeah.
That was silly. Yeah, well, you look back at 50s sci-fi movies and the aliens are coming and they're up to no good and they want to steal our water or they want to steal our bodies or eat our brains or, giant insects and stuff. Yeah. They don't need our water. They could go, tap into any comet out in space and gather all the water and resources they need.
Right, or any moon, still, solar system they encounter.
Yeah, I certainly hope that we'd be interesting enough that they wouldn't want to step on us, study us, and hey, Star Trek again, the Prime Directive. Yep. They're just watching and they're not talking. Hopefully, we're not rubbing off on them like those I Love Lucy reruns or. You name it,
you mentioned that, by the way. I want to throw that out there. when Marconi invented the radio, the first signals got out there. So we're just over 100 some odd years out into space right now. That means 100 light years at the speed of light. And within 100 light years, there are some planets that we've found that may be potentially habitable. But the vast bulk of the planets that will be habitable are going to be beyond 100 light years. And they are, for sure. And they're in our galaxy and other galaxies. So we're probably looking at a possibility that the I Love Lucy reruns have only gone out, a handful of light years compared to the oxygen signature that went out 2.7 billion years ago. So I think the drive is going to be the signals coming from the atmosphere that have been there for billions of years. That, I think, is what's going to drive an alien species to our planet. Not what we're doing, not the record on Voyager that shows two human beings, and say, hey, this is where we're from. Come see us. Okay. Frankly, that's it, the analogy of a needle in a haystack to finding the Voyager is not even appropriate. It's more like a single atom on a planet. Find that single atom on the planet. I mean, that's more like how difficult it's going to be to find that. So
we have a question from chat.
Okay.
Wolf wants to know if you guys think SETI is a worthwhile project.
I will answer that. And Daryl, you can, of course, throw in things if you like. I believe that the SETI project, I didn't originally think that SETI, because it was so narrow, it was only looking at a narrow scope. But I realize now that every methodology for trying to establish contact or see if an extraterrestrial race has thought of establishing contact with a methodology like this should be tried. And the 21 centimeter neutral hydrogen band is relatively quiet. So it's one of these bands where we could detect if there was some carrier on there, something going on that was, well, say, intelligent. And so I think SETI is a worthwhile project. I think that the Planet Hunters project is a worthwhile project where they look at, and citizen scientists too, who look at those light curves. You can be one tomorrow. You can go start and get trained online and be ready to look at light curves and find planets around other stars. Think about that. People, ordinary folks, you can do it, and to do that is something that, takes everyone. We have to band together to look in the 21 centimeter band. We have to band together to look at all the many light curves we're getting from not just Kepler, not just K2, the successor to Kepler that was a repair to the Kepler originally, and not just TESS, the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, but soon the James Webb Space Telescope and beyond. We're going to find that we have so much data to wade through. It's going to take a civilization to find the civilization. Do you see? Daryl?
I participated in the SETI search a long time ago. I don't even know if they still do this, where they used to ask people to subscribe to their network, and when your computer was not in use, you'd leave your dial-up modem turned on, and they would use your computer to help crunch numbers for all the data they had received.
I was there too. I was in it.
Yeah, I did that for a while, and other things took priority, and I quit doing it. I wish them all the best.
Results. You didn't see results. That's why. If you saw results, you might have continued. I don't think that was their problem. And it really came down to a branding problem. Brandingness, Planet Hunters, I think, has a different approach. I think they have a better approach. They encourage and name and highlight citizen scientists that make findings. If you look up citizen scientists find exoplanet, you'll find the discoveries that they've made, and it's really cool. So I think that's how that works. I do think that all these discovery programs are really essentially very important. No one program is going to find the answer. There might be something on the 21 centimeter band, and let's say we found it. What do we do next? We have to devise technology to discern whether that was an intelligent signal or a random universe-born signal. For instance, remember the fast radio bursts, Daryl and Amanda? Okay, FRBs were millisecond bursts from billions of light years away. The strength of these passing our detectors was such that they had to be absolutely galactically immense when they were emitted. So the thought was, wow, could these be intelligent signals beamed from a long way away? And my thought process was, I don't know. I can't say absolutely not, but I don't know. Now, since then, scientists have come up with a methodology for how these can be generated by neutron stars, particularly what are called magnetars, which are very, very highly magnetic neutron stars. Neutron stars are a remnant of supernovae. But highly magnetized ones are called magnetars, go figure. And these could be responsible for creating these fast radio bursts. And the fact that we see them in more than one time. You know what I mean? So I think that's very possible that could be what causes them. But think about the excitement. Remember the wow signal, Daryl?
I was going to bring up the wow signal. Yeah. The nature of the fast radio bursts and such, I mean, to detect them at all from billions of light years away says they have to be a natural process, okay? It's not like somebody would be off billions of light years from here. Hey, let's show off and set off a huge signal, to make everybody scratch their heads everywhere else in the universe. The wow signal, though, no, that was different. And I was meaning to ask you that, but I mean, did we really see something? Has the wow signal held up over long term?
Well, I think that there was a few theories as to what it could have been. Among them was, of course, it was a signal generated by an intelligent species somewhere else. Another possibility was that it was a distant satellite that happened to pass through the detector at that time. That is a satellite around our planet. I don't know the answer because I don't think astronomers have figured out whether this was a real or imagined and not imagined, but artificial signal created by humans. I don't know that answer. I think that if they had come up with a reason why it was a truly intelligent signal, it would have been all over the place. It would be totally popularized and publicized. And for those that think that NASA's hiding all the data, NASA's not telling us the truth, well, guess what? It's not NASA we're talking about. Okay? We're talking about independent organizations like the NRAO, the National Radio Telescope Astronomical Association, okay, or National Radio Astronomical Observatory. And it's the people that run other programs all over the world. Finding intelligence elsewhere is not going to remain hidden. It's not going to be a hidden thing. Okay, it's not going to be a surreptitious thing that everyone in the world is conspiring to keep secret. It's none of that baloney, and that's what it is, baloney. The fact is, there's so many people looking for it that I dare you to try and keep it quiet. I absolutely dare you to try and keep quiet if we find a real signal. There's no way that it would stay secret. No way, because people working on the project will be just too pumped up by this. Don't you agree? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, people can't keep secrets. If it ever breaks, the public will hear about it, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
What will it mean to the public? I think that's a really deep question all by itself.
Yeah, because, some people will be shattered by the fact that there's life elsewhere, thinking that there's no such thing. There will be people that are run right out of business, especially those that investigate UFOs, in a sense, because then they will have to change their direction on a dime. Yes, we found life, and it's intelligent. Oh, well, now we got to focus on how are they going to get here? Are they here? Have they been here? What are we looking for? And now you got to run into people that actually have to do real astrophysical things, real forays into string theory, because that's how they're probably going to get here. Okay, is by using propulsion concepts buried in those theories of string theory, for instance. So, I don't think we're gonna find people with their cell phones capturing something in the sky and then saying, "Hey, that's the aliens we found." I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be, it's going to be a different pursuit. It's going to be a pursuit through rigorous application of science. And unfortunately, that rigorous pursuit is going to leave most people out of it, unfortunately, because they don't have access to these big observatories, these big telescopes. They don't have access to the technology and the people and the organizations that can study and identify and confirm, most importantly, these signals. Really interesting, that how this is going to turn out, I think. But there will be citizen scientists, and there will be people that are doing projects like our aerial anomaly detection system, for instance, that's going to look for signals that basically are a smoking gun. And those smoking gun signals will be hard to defeat. You won't be able to see gamma rays followed by spectral changes and fade out and or shimmering of an object and try to explain it away. You're not going to be able to do that. So I think we're in for a real amazing trip moving forward. I actually kind of like the point at which I'm living.
Yeah, well, the philosophical angle again, though, I have seen it said that, what if we do discover other intelligent life? Religious doctrine, the Christians, for instance, I don't mean to bruise anybody's feelings, but, you get into the concept of original sin and that we are fallen beings. If intelligent aliens show up, are they fallen also? Do they suffer from original sin? Or did that just happen here on Earth? If they come to us without sin, are they angels? This aspect of it can get pretty deep. And this can also be part of what, can really hit humanity right between the eyes. That they're going to have to rethink everything they ever believed.
True. Maybe we're in a fallen universe.
We may not measure up.
Maybe we're in a fallen universe, and everyone that finds us is a member of the fallen.
Yeah, are they just as venal as we are? Golly, maybe they want to steal our water and our women after all.
That's funny. Well, I think that truly a race that could go interstellar is not going to go all this way for resources. Number one, they just won't, because they will have long since fixed that need. They will have learned how to mine literally open space.
Sure.
Okay. Maybe they will have mined molecular clouds where the density isn't very great for these elements that might be seeking. But if they go zipping across a supernova remnant, they could collect them all matter of elements. And it's not that long. I mean, and I'm going to use the Star Trek reference again. It's not that long, I think, before we figure out how to take elemental atoms and assemble them into structures that become things like a piece of cheese or a cracker. I think we're going to be able to do that atom assembly. In other words, the replicator process. I think that's something that's coming. And if you look at the technology required, it's really not that far away. It's really not that far away at all. And so someday, but you see, here's a problem. The political reasons not to bring that out is probably why it won't make it faster to general society. Because and economic reasons, if you give everybody a replicator in their house, they don't have to go to the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it could be Soylent Green as people.
That's right. And you could be Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. And so the fact of the matter is, if we get to that point where we have that kind of technology, then we could end world hunger. But do the powers that be want to end world hunger? That's the basis of their power. Keep the food for ourselves, give them metered measurements, metered amounts. Is that what we have to deal with? That's not an advanced civilization talking. That's a power-mad civilization talking. And we as, humans here have to overcome that. We have to fight that. I mean, when I have like a whole pizza, I ask people around me, hey, do you want a piece? Want a piece? Want a piece? And I've actually done that, and all the pizza was gone. And I never got a piece. And you know what? I didn't feel upset. I felt glad. because I was able to give them some food. I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm glad people took the pizza.
Yeah, what about the ones that took 2 or 3 pieces? So.
There's always that. But,
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. But you know what? They self-regulate, because when that happened, actually, a couple of the guys there said, hey, don't take 2. Let everybody get 1. Oh, all right. And he said, here, and put it back. Okay. So that does happen too. Now, I don't know. Like I said, we've been talking a lot about intelligent life elsewhere. This is actually a wonderful vein of conversation that we've been having, and I hope you guys enjoy it out there. And I'm pretty sure that we will be thinking along these lines when we come back from the break too. I do want to mention one last thing, and that is, I do want to say for those listening that we do live in a universe that I believe is full of life. I believe that life is the rule, not the exception. And I do want a shameless plug here. I do want to mention that my book, The Populated Universe, will be coming out potentially as an ebook. I have to go through that, and that'll come out sooner than later. It's in editing now. I talked to the person editing the book, and I will be seeing that edited copy pretty soon. All right, so I will just let you leave it at that, and let you know that we will be back right after these words. Can you believe we have an hour gone already, Daryl and Amanda?
I didn't think it'd take off like that. I hope people enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, hey. Okay, we'll be back right after the...
OMG! People are jumping on board to the Life Change Tea Regiment. Brew, steep, and drink for a gentle, taste great cleanse. It's changing how they feel. See what everybody's talking about. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Life Change Tea aids in digestive slowdown and helps people get moving down a healthy path. We won't make claims. We'll just let you decide. Experience is much better than a commercial anyway. If you want results, log on to getthetea.com and purchase your super strength cleansing tea. You won't be disappointed. And if you're looking for some mind-body suggestions, go to YouTube and punch in the search bar Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. Put power into your health now. So, getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com for super strength tea. And YouTube, Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now for valuable suggestions. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
So we've got our neighbor Paul coming over tonight for a barbecue, which is why I prepared a delicious lemon rosemary steak marinade from my special collection of old family recipes. To make sure the steaks are extra, extra, extra tender, I left them marinating out on the counter overnight, just like Nana used to.
Maria may mean well, but without food safety, it never ends well. Always thaw or marinate foods in the refrigerator at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below, or you could make your friends and family really sick. Maria's neighbor Paul didn't think twice about the steak he ate until he was presenting his company's financial forecast to the board. That's when a sudden bout of food poisoning made it explicitly clear that profits weren't the only thing on the rise. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov. You'll learn the right steps as Maria does everything wrong. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Whether it's a natural disaster or one single child suffering from illness, the American Red Cross stands ready to supply blood when it's most needed. But blood is a perishable product. Therefore, it must continuously be replenished. You can safely donate blood every 56 days. The need is constant and patients are waiting. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE to schedule your life-saving appointment. Please give blood today. Patients are depending on you.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, folks, welcome back to SkyTour Radio. I'm Mark D'Antonio, and I have Amanda with me, and I have Daryl with me. And I have to say that we've been having a wonderful discussion today. Daryl is just so full of incredible thought processes that I just like to probe, and he has some great ideas. And Amanda, she's just amazing, too. She sits back and soaks it in and then comes out with a question that just, will floor you, So,
well, I just wonder if, anyone that did sense our presence and know anything about us, if they just kind of write us off. Like if they've come close enough to see how we treat each other, and we're all supposed to be humans, the same species, why would they bother? And all the destruction we do to the planet, do they kind of look at us and say they're not really going to be around long enough for us to get invested in?
Let's see what I mean by flooring you, folks. That question,
well, sometimes I wonder,
See, that question alone, okay, shows that the gears turning in your head never stop. That is a excellent question, and I've actually often wondered whether an alien species would look at us and say, "Oh, no, they're not ready. Keep going, Torg. No, don't stop. Oh, they saw us. That's something that I have wondered too.
That's actually a big question, Amanda. We may need to save for another time. That's part of the Drake equation, is how long a technological civilization can survive before destroying itself. And you can also look up what's called the Great Filter, which what is the hump, to life getting out there. I would like to think, that unless life is just absolutely common as mud out there, that other intelligent species are going to say that, hey, life is rare, life is precious, and we're worth it, all right, just because we're not your everyday bunch of chumps, orbiting a yellow star. I think that's a question for another day.
Well,
it's a big question.
It is a big question, but I do think that her question is relevant. And
absolutely.
What do we really know? What do we really know scientifically about the universe? I mean, let's just take this for example. There's a number of things that we don't know about the universe. This is for instance where astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology fall on their faces. All right, it's not like we know everything. People say, "Oh, we can launch these wonderful telescopes into space. We can do this. We can do that. We can put rovers on Mars, people on the moon, and we're going to send people to Mars too." Wow, are we great? We're pretty good. Yet we are we're not technologically advanced enough to know even about the universe itself. What I mean by that is, let's take a look at just a couple of things that the universe has thrown at us that we cannot explain. All right? We know that the universe is expanding. How? Because when Edwin Hubble, back in 1929, looked at distant galaxies, he discovered that they were racing away from us. And from this, he calculated that the universe is expanding. Okay, that makes sense. It is expanding. It's not steady, known as a steady state theory. It's not oscillating, but it's expanding. And he came up with a rate of expansion. And the rate of expansion of the universe has formed the tenet of a lot of our astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology for decades and decades. All right? 100 years, actually. So the question becomes, what happened now that might have thrown a wrench into that? Well, what happened was the Planck telescope noticed that the expansion rate, when it was calculated, the expansion rate of the universe is actually not what Hubble said it was just under 100 years ago, not at all. It's actually expanding faster than previously thought. And how do we explain that? It's an acceleration. It's getting faster all the time. And being that it's an accelerating rate, that means that the universe is expanding faster and faster and faster, not slowing down like you might expect from a mass in the middle of a ball that would slow down the outer expansion and collapse it again, kind of like the oscillation thing. No, it's actually accelerating outward. Okay. To fit the observations, astronomers and other folks had to come up with something, and that something was dark energy. Dark energy is a repulsive force. It pushes everything around it away from everything else. It causes the universe to accelerate outward. It drives space apart ever quicker, and we don't know what it is. That's why it's called dark. Okay, dark doesn't mean black. Dark means unknown. Okay. So we do know, however, that it makes up 73% of what we see. 73%. Okay. And now the thing is, space acts like other mediums in a sense. Okay. And this is important to understand. When we saw the two black holes collide, we saw gravitational waves propagate away. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. Slow down. What does propagate mean? Propagate means move through a medium, like ripples in water when you throw in a pebble. You see the ripples moving away from where the pebble struck the water. This propagation is what we see, but in the terms of the universe, with gravity. So there is a medium that is made, that the universe is made of. And it's not water, of course. It's not air, but it's something else. And that medium is something through which we can see things propagate, okay, including, light propagating through this medium and the waves, the ripples of gravity. So we're only just now figuring this out, And another thing that kind of goes along hand in hand with what we don't know is these other oddities we can't explain. Things like when you look at our solar system, Mercury is the closest planet to our sun. It goes around the sun once every 88 days. Pluto is the farthest planet, and I did say that. That's right, I said it. Pluto is a planet, in my view. And it takes over 270 years to go around the sun. So
Heck yeah.
things, yes, exactly. That's Daryl concurring it's a planet. Mercury is the closest to the sun. In other words, the center of gravity in our solar system. And so it goes around the fastest. Pluto's the farthest. It goes around the slowest. We expect when we look at galaxies that have big spiral arms like the Andromeda Galaxy or Messier 33, the Triangulum Galaxy, or any galaxy out there, we expect in these spiral galaxies that have these spiral arms that you're so familiar with, most of you, that the stars closer to the center of the galaxy will be going around the galaxy faster. And the stars far away are more lazily drifting around the galactic core because they all go around the galaxy. We've done it just under 20 times so far since our inception 4.6 billion years ago. So that said, what it means is we have to look at the rotation rate of galaxies. And when we study the rotation rate of galaxies, because that's something to study, we discover something that is at odds with what's called Newtonian physics. We see that the stars all rotate around as if the galactic disk is rigid, meaning the stars farther away have to rotate much faster than the stars near the center. And that's what we see. That doesn't make any sense. It affects our sensibilities. It makes us think that everything's wrong. But this is where we came into the thought process that, if this velocity is increasing, excuse me, then if Newtonian physics can't be broken, and we don't think it is, then it means we have to invoke some other dark thing. And that dark thing is dark matter. That's where dark matter came from. The dark matter is, say, outside the halo of the galaxy, and it's pulling along all the stars in the outside. Now, how much dark matter is there? Well, there's 23% dark matter in the universe as far as we know. 73% dark energy. So what's that mean? 73 and 23 is 96. So that means 4% of the universe is what we actually know. All right. However, you have to understand that, 4% of the universe that we do know is something called baryonic matter. It's protons, it's electrons, muons, gluons, and so on. Okay. And that of that 4%, unfortunately, we are missing some. We're missing about half of it. We can't find the matter that would make enough mass for the Big Bang to even have occurred. So, what could have happened? Maybe we're just a little spurt off a whole bunch of other bangs, and that parallel universes are in play. This is an actual thought process that might very well be the real thing. And if that's the case, that could explain the dark matter, potentially, because the dark matter could be the matter that is in the halo of our galaxy, but it's actually matter from a different dimension. Yeah. So that means that it could be the parallel universe galaxy that's sort of in the same place, but its mass effects, like the game, its mass effects can be felt here. And so the galaxy rotates like a rigid disk because it's interacting, in a sense, with this parallel universe galaxy. Wow, that is deep. But that is one of the thought processes that is out there right now. Because there wasn't enough mass for the Big Bang to have occurred. Now, I'm sure that this is causing all kinds of questions, so I want to turn to Amanda and let her run wild and let me know if there's questions out there. I hope there is, because I haven't looked.
Because that would be a good setup if there wasn't.
Oh, okay.
No, we do have a few, actually.
Oh, good.
Martin asks, he says, we're a civilization that is the product of a young population of stars, heavy elements which took several generations of development. We therefore know that it took at least 12 to 14 billion years to emerge. Given that the universe has a finite beginning and that there has to be a first civilization, is it possible that we are in fact the first technological civilization, at least in our galaxy? Maybe more to come, but are we the first?
That's an excellent question, Martin. Thank you.
It's a good way to look at it. It's very interesting.
It is very interesting. I would say this. We in the exoplanet world found planets that are over 12 billion years old. So it means that the planetary formation process has been occurring for a very, very long time. That said, Earth is 4.6 billion years old, as is, of course, the sun. And the universe existed for over 9 billion years before Earth was ever even a twinkle in the cosmic eye, so to speak. So that means that the universe has had 9+ billion years to develop life somewhere else. Now, it took 4.6 here, but you have to remember that we've had a series of major extinction events that set life back 5 different times. Now, extinction events could be more or they could be less. If there were less, then perhaps a civilization got an earlier start. And I think that that's very possible. Martin's question, we actually don't know the answer, but we can say, yes, Martin could be right. We could be the first technological civilization that ever arose in a very dangerous universe. However, based on all the life forms, and if you look at how many different variations there are just on our planet, down in the hydrothermal vents, where the pressures are crushing and we could never survive, there are life forms that exist around these vents. In the hot springs within geysers that would scald us and destroy our flesh, there are bacteria that absolutely live it up, and they love these temperatures. And we call those extremophiles. That was when I was talking to Carl yesterday, or was that yesterday? I think. We were talking about
Friday night?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, sorry. We were talking about extremophiles, which are my favorite life forms, because it's extremophiles that led us to look at Europa as a possible life-bearing moon around Jupiter. And it's extremophiles that led us to the possibility that maybe there's life on the little 310-mile diameter Enceladus at Saturn under the icy mantles of both moons. So it's the extremophiles, I think, that are going to lead the way in us finding life of any kind, because it'll be extremophiles most likely that we find first, very possibly, unless we've got a civilization that's been hiding on Mars for so long that we haven't been able to see it, but I don't think so. I think that's a really good question, Martin, and I want to thank you for asking it. So is there another one there, Amanda?
We have a few more.
Okay.
We have one from Excella.
Okay.
And they ask, if the expansion rate is increasing, does that mean light speed is becoming faster?
No, Excella, but that's an excellent question. What it really means is that as the expansion rate gets faster and faster, it means that the light from those objects is going to take longer and longer to get to us. So eventually what it leads to is the death of the universe, where everything is dark and we can't see the light from these objects because they are moving so fast that they eventually end up not being able to emanate light early enough for us to end up seeing it. So it is more of a death of the universe question when we talk about this. And that kind of, there's a number. We actually did this on SkyTour Radio. Do you remember this, Amanda? We talked about the death of the universe.
We've touched on that a few times. Which one specifically?
Yeah, well, I'm saying that you remember we did a whole show on the many different ways the universe could die.
Yeah.
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 Well, one of them had to do with expansion rate being so fast at some point because it's accelerating that the light from these objects can't reach us. And so there may be a distant future on a planet somewhere where when they look up in the night sky, it's just black. And there's no stars whatsoever because the light from the stars never reaches us. It never reaches them. Now, that's a possibility. Maybe it's only the light from their local galaxy might reach them. But the light from other galaxies, there wouldn't be anything beyond their galaxy. They would think that there's only one thing in the universe, and it's their galaxy. See? So that's a good question, Excella. Thank you.
I resist that with every fiber of my being. I'm sorry. I was into Eastern mysticism back when I was young, back in the 70s. And, the whole yin and yang oscillating universe thing, the black and the white, I just can't accept it. Where the ultimate fate of the universe is cold and dead. I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. That's not a scientific answer.
No, I realize what you're saying. And that actually is one of the oddly, it's called heat death. It's death when all the objects in the universe reach the same relative temperature. Then they will be indecipherable from the background, and basically there won't be anything in the universe for us to see. And basically that's called heat death, where everything reaches the same equilibrium temperature, and of course that wouldn't be good for us.
Yeah. Well, that's entropy. Entropy, like some other things, goes downhill. There's a bumper sticker there.
Yep. So, Amanda, anything else for us?
We do have one more from Kathy. She wants to know, will Voyager 1 or 2, quote unquote, bump into dark matter if it's out there?
That's very interesting. Dark matter is not like beach balls or basketballs or something. It's actually a very dispersed, here I am talking about something we don't really understand. We think it's a dark matter, meaning it is some type of matter that has an influence, gravitational influence, yet we're not seeing that it's actually anything in particular that we can identify. Not yet. So will they bump into it? I don't know. But again, good question. Thank you very much, Kathy. Anything else?
I have a question of my own.
Okay.
Do you think, how I suggested that maybe other advanced civilization kind of discounts us? Do you think there could be several severely advanced civilizations out there that are almost like intergalactic neighborhoods that visit each other and that have benefited from each other? Maybe on the opposite side of the universe, where, like you were saying, if there were less catastrophes that wiped us out.
Well, let's see. Daryl's got some ideas. I can tell he's wants to
people often conflate certain terms, intergalactic versus interstellar. Okay, if there are races out there so advanced that they are dealing on an intergalactic scale, they are so far beyond our ken that I don't think we'd know them if we saw them. Interstellar, we have our hands full at the interstellar scale, okay? I mean, let's keep it within our galaxy for now. And once we figure this place out, then we can worry about the other galaxies. Star Wars in another galaxy a long time ago, far, far away, blah, blah. I think you're
Maybe
getting...
intergalactic isn't what I meant.
Well...
Maybe I didn't mean that big, sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, boy, if there are... Go ahead.
Like, if there was a small solar system like us...
Uh-huh.
Do you think, like, say our solar system, each of the 9 planets were advanced enough to visit each other? Do you think that on the opposite side of the universe might be, well, not opposite side, but you know what I mean? Do you think there could be a collection of planets that kind of grew at the same rate on their own specific planets?
Maybe. Hey, they might even call it a federation, you know? Yeah, I mean, if they're dealing on a extragalactic scale, those people are going to be so close to godlike that, I'm just talking out, my butt here. People on such a scale, I mean, would be so far beyond us, I don't know that we would ever recognize them, or if they did deign to take notice of us, what they would think. Are there others out there, technological civilizations, working in concert with each other? I hope so. I hope they don't come steal our women, I'll say that.
Well, as I said before, I really think that their activities here probably border on experimentation and learning about us, and this brings up another thing, and I'm looking in the chat. I see there's another question. I couldn't see the chat earlier, but I see it now, and someone's asking, Jacob is asking a question. He's saying
that just came up.
Yeah.
What do you think about Starship, the Elon Musk project?
No, I don't see that one.
Oh.
I see. He says, can you talk about your experience on the show Contact you were on last week, and you think there will be a season 2? Do you think the show Contact will actually answer any questions about alien contact? That's what Jacob asked.
Okay, I think that's the question. I didn't hear about the Musk question, though. I missed that one. Sorry.
I don't see that one.
I don't either. Anyway, okay, well, as far as Contact, yeah, I was on the season closing episode of season 1 of Contact, and I do believe they're going to do a season 2. And so I do think it's really quite I think it's quite an interesting show. I think it answers questions for me. Mike and Mike, the 2 guys on it. I think they have their stuff together, and I think that they're answering questions. They're seeking evidence. They're not just trying to make a splash with just another UFO show. And I think that this one is one of the better ones. Not because I did it. I actually accepted the role for the last episode because of the fact that I had been seeing how they do their show, and I really admire the show's content. So I think there'll be a season 2, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, so Jacob also asked, what do I think about the Starship, the Elon Musk project? Now I see it. I don't know how I missed that, Amanda. Was it in chat or no?
No, it had just come up. I didn't put it in Skype yet.
Oh, okay. When I say chat,
when you said yes, I know. When you said chat, I thought you meant Discord.
I apologize. Okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay. I don't know what to think about the Starship project. I just know that I'm still waiting for Musk to deliver on sending people to the moon in the next couple of years, right? Aren't we? What do you think, Daryl?
Hey, dream big. I think Elon Musk is a showman as much as he is a billionaire. Look back to when he shot the car out into space.
There was a reason for that, though. You know that, right?
Well, sure.
He was trying to show that they could launch a payload of substantial size with his rocket, and he proved it in a very theatrical, showy way. It was flammable.
Absolutely. Hey, that's regular. That's regular P.T. Barnum kind of stuff there. My feelings. So yeah, he is. I watched a little bit of his presentation on Starship last night. Starship looks corny. It looks like something from the 50s. Gosh, I hope he makes it work. We shall see. I mean, this is the next big step.
Is this the one that had a fire on it? Had an accident?
I thought that was the Dragon crew module or something.
Well, I know that. I know that had an accident too, but didn't the Starship fall over or something?
Something. I don't remember the particulars. I know they did a hover test on it a few weeks ago, and now they're building the Model 1 or whatever they're calling it. I mean, it looks like something from the 1950s. Big old stainless steel. You know, it looks like what people thought rockets looked like back in the 50s.
I know. Yeah, well, then again, so does Blue Origins, right? I mean, anything that's going to land back in the same pad it took off from, kind of in the same configuration, is going to kind of have that look, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, Starship has just got that 50s vibe to it.
It does.
But hey, you know, if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. I wish him all the best.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think it'll be good. Well, folks, when we come back, we have more, and maybe we'll get into some of the concepts of if aliens are here, what are they doing here to us, or with us, for us, against us? We'll see when we come back. This is Mark D'Antonio with Amanda and Daryl on Sky Tour Radio. We'll talk to you in just a minute.
For the thousands of wounded warriors returning from battle, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps wounded warriors translate their military experience to a civilian job. These extraordinary men and women bring more than just teamwork and inspiration to the workplace. They bring proven world-class job skills. And to ensure proper placement, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right job fit. Talented, skilled, and eager to get back to work, you have the opportunity to hire a seasoned veteran. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Hi, this is Matt Ray for MySleepAllNight.com, and most of us don't even realize that almost all of the healing, learning, and rejuvenating that happens in our body happens only when we are deeply asleep. Now, if you have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, it's likely you never consistently achieve that crucial level of deep sleep. Deep restorative sleep is the key to health, mood, productivity, longevity, memory, you name it. So many health benefits. To experience what deep sleep feels like, try the new dietary supplement Sleep All Night, formulated by scientist Kurt Hendricks. And sleep like your life depends on it because, let's be honest, it does. Head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. That's MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO for 20% off your purchase. Again, head on over to MySleepAllNight.com. Enter the promo code RADIO. That's MySleepAllNight.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. This is Mark, and I have Amanda, and I have Daryl, and I have all of you. We have all of you. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're enjoying the conversation. I've been getting messages from Ren and Dan down in Florida saying, hey, conversation's great. We love it. That's fantastic. Thank you, guys. And other people saying they really like the conversation tonight. That's fantastic. Very happy.
I like conversations like this. It doesn't have to have a definitive answer, but everyone has an opinion, you know?
Yeah, and I'm talking about my astronomical things I want to talk about, you know? I mean, astronomy fits in still. It's okay. So everything is cool, you know? Very cool. And over the break, Carl sent a message to tell me about the fire that did break out at the Starship facility in Florida. So there was a fire that did break out there, and it was, a couple months ago. But actually, it was good. I want to thank Carol for that. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to send that to us. So moving forward, I have a question. If intelligent life is out there, what are they doing to us, for us, with us, against us? I mean, what do you think is happening? Amanda, I want to hear what you think.
Well.
On the spot.
I am a little skeptical myself. I don't think they're doing anything to us or against us. I mean, if anything, maybe watching from afar. I mean, it's hard to say because some people must be seeing something that they can't explain. Yeah. That doesn't mean it's interdimensional. It doesn't mean it's from a different planet or a different part of the universe. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Some people are making stories up, obviously. But there seems to be some kind of consensus going on. So, like, I can't rule it out, but yet I still want proof.
Yeah.
And I hate being a skeptic. I do try to keep an open mind, obviously, on things like this, but
important though. It's important to be a skeptic. Because it means you'll ask the right questions to get the answers. You know? And it's important. And I'll just take a moment here, not to cut you off here, Amanda. I won't. But, you know, if any of you have an opinion, you know, give us a call at 855-472-5483 or 85-KGRA live and tell us what you think. All right. So it's 85-KGRA live or 855-472-5483. Amanda, continue.
Oops. No, that's basically all I had to say on the matter. If anything, they might be watching from afar. And that's why I made the comment I made earlier. I just think maybe they see how we treat each other. I mean, I don't know. You know me. I'm for animal rights and everything. So I think of how we treat animals on our own planet. Why would anyone from another planet ever, you know? And if we can't even be civilized to each other on the streets, you know, it just, like, I don't want to say humanity's a lost cause or anything, but from someone looking in, would they, like, what do we have that's worth them risking potential death, you know? Could you imagine? Like, there's going to be some severe reactions. And like you said, I mean, just, I know Daryl touched on religion earlier, just that kind of collapse. Some people will not be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe we do have evidence and they're not telling us, and that's why. You know, I don't really personally believe that, but it's a good argument. You know, maybe we aren't ready. And maybe people from outside planets know that just as well as our government, you know, like, I can see it. I can see it from other people's opinions, but I think at best they're watching from afar.
Interesting. And I can tell you this, Ren in Florida writes just now, like people here on our planet, some are good, some are bad, of course. Some are beneficial for humankind, some are not. The agendas are just like what we have here on our own planet, just like governments that are good and bad and want to govern with justice, and have those that are dictators. And her feeling is it's very much the same with their agendas. So I think I like that because it seems to indicate that it's a metered response, but it includes many different civilizations. In other words, there's other civilizations that could possibly be here doing the same thing. And we actually have a caller, and I'd like to bring the caller on. So let me do that and see what they think too. So hold on. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Who are you?
Hi, Mark. It's Ronald from Minnesota.
Oh, Ronald. Okay, your name showed up as Anonymous.
Oh, no.
And Anonymous.
I had a thought today. I didn't know you were going to talk about this particular subject, about the expansion of the universe. So yep. I'll go along with that. This question that I had in mind today, as I was thinking about the grand scheme of things, as our galaxy is spinning around, and there's supposed to be at least one black hole in the center. And hello, Daryl. And Mark, Daryl, and Amanda, right? Okay.
Holy cow!
Sorry, I was on mute. Hello, Ronald.
Good, Ronald. Time is precious.
Anyway, as it's spinning though, and we're supposed to be getting eaten up by this black hole in the center of the galaxy, how is it that, in relation to where we started, we haven't moved anywhere in the arms of the galaxy? We have been locked in place where we are at the end of the galaxy.
Well, we're not, actually, and we have. We've gone around the center of the galaxy almost 20 times, 19 and a half. Takes us 230 million years to make a circuit. And we just move at whatever orbital speed we have at our distance from the center. What's happened is that all the stars, though, where we think the ones on the outside should move slower, they don't. They actually move a little faster than the ones in the center. So every star is orbiting the galaxy, but there's no. We haven't stayed in the same place. We actually have moved quite a lot. That's why when you look at the night sky, it's fleeting cosmologically, because where you see Orion now, you won't see Orion in 10 million years or 15 million years. It'll be very different. You won't recognize it. And plus, stars are being born and are being destroyed by them, by supernovae. As a supernova every now and then, and that happens over billions of years. When Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, 4.1 million years ago, was walking around Olduvai Gorge, if Lucy looked up and looked at Orion, Lucy would have noticed that there's only 2 stars in the belt of Orion. The third one, Alnitak, had not been born yet. It basically winked into existence, perhaps, while Lucy's ancestors were looking up at the sky. So it would have been lost to time, that visual. But man, so things do change. The universe is very dynamic. It's changing all the time, but not at human timescales. You see what I mean?
Yeah. And since we have such a short span, and I talk about this a lot myself, and people usually laugh when I talk about it. But anyway, I talk about how long our span is compared to the grand time frame of things. And we're actually fairly short for our human time frame. We're kind of short. Okay.
May I jump in here on this?
Yeah. Welcome to
Ronald. Just because there's a giant black hole in the center of our galaxy doesn't mean we're going to get sucked or we're going to fall into it. Okay.
Yeah.
As Mark alluded to, we are in a pretty stable orbit. Partway out from the center, call it halfway if you want, and we're likely to stay there unless something catastrophic happens. we'll just keep right on coasting, orbiting around the center of the galaxy. The black hole center of the galaxy, it is feeding on matter that's already close to it, all right, that orbits around it and may or may not gravitationally interact at such a scale it's going to tear that object apart, at which time the black hole may actually, eat it. We could turn the sun, if we could turn the sun into a black hole tomorrow, well, everything else would stay exactly the same. We wouldn't fall into the black hole. We would orbit the former sun, now black hole, just like we did before, at the same distance, unless something else happened.
In fact, I do a talk like that, actually, where I talk about what would happen if the sun turned into a black hole tomorrow. And I pose the question and let people respond, can make it interactive. And, of course, the answer is, as you said, Daryl, the planets would continue orbiting. They would just be getting a lot colder. There's no radiant warmth.
Real bad.
Because it's the same amount of gravity, see, but the sun is not massive enough to be a black hole. So if you made it massive enough to be a black hole, that would change the orbits.
This
is
true.
If you thought you had winter now, wait until the sun goes out, then you'll find out what winter really is.
Very good. Ronald. Hey,
all right, thank you, Mark.
All right, Ronald. Thank you very much.
Talk to you next time. Bye, Daryl and Amanda.
Bye.
See ya.
Well, that's interesting question there that he asked. So, I guess when we talk about our visitation, Amanda, I know your opinion. Daryl, I think I probably have a good understanding of what you might feel.
Is that a question, or you just want to leave it there?
Go ahead.
Let's hear definitively.
I got to hear you. You got to give your answer. To be fair, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they're watching us. I just hope it doesn't turn into the what was it, a Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man?
Yeah, right. You're gonna say that. And it's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook.
Oh, that's a funny episode.
But I mean, if they're really out there and if they're really watching us, well, I guess they're not interacting with us, or if so, only in very carefully chosen ways. I'm very on the fence about that part.
Okay. Well, see, I'll tell you my feeling. And those of you that know me know that I'm a science guy, and I don't really take the flights of fancy. I actually like to look at facts, but I am willing to admit and feel that strongly that based on the statistical number of exoplanets we have out there, and I understand my logic is not for everybody. I think that looking at life here and looking how it evolved here and looking how tenacious it is, I think that it's very possible that there is tenacity built into the universe, and that this tenacity will extend to civilizations that exist elsewhere in the galaxy. And they will, of course, have found that their star is only temporary and that they will have to leave too. So when you hear about UFO sightings and crashes, here on the Earth, and you hear about abductions, and you hear about missing time, and you hear about implants that people have, and others that have encounters with extraterrestrial beings, some of them that look very, very different from human beings. You have the Greys, you have the reptilians, you have all kinds of different beings, that people have claimed to have seen. When you look at all of these things that have been found, all right, and seen and reported, some of it you can say, well, probably not real. I don't know if that's real. Okay. But the truth is, the stuff that has been seen, I think there's a grain of truth to all the original sightings. So, for instance, someone says they saw a creature running around in their yard. They couldn't identify what it was. The grain of truth there is that maybe it was a bobcat that was mistaken identity, for sure. Maybe, who knows? And maybe someone can prove that, But if someone sees and reports that they've been abducted, could it have been a strange dream? We can't say no. We have to say possibly. We can't, as good science folks will never, ever, if they're good, will always leave their minds open. All right? I try to leave my mind open about all the many different possibilities. I really do. Flat Earth is not one of them. and there. So deal with it. Okay, you can actually go, go off and immerse yourself in a black hole. Okay, but I don't buy that at all, and I think that's just silly science. Okay, it's non-science, which rhymes with nonsense, right? So, but I think that when we talk about alien life, we have to understand that there's many different types of stars out there. There's hot blue stars all the way to little tiny red percolators that are known as the M-type stars. Amanda knows the spectral class very well. She talks about it often on Sky through a live stream when we do our live streams, And from the different spectral classes, most of them can handle and have planets, with the most planets being found around these tiny little percolators, these M-type stars that are very low temperature and that live possibly trillions of years, dwarfing the life of our sun. So if that's a possibility, it means it opens ourselves up not to just other life forms, but life that's very different. Because of the nature of the way planets form around some of these stars means that their environment, their ecosystems, everything is different. It's possibly very different. I think that we're talking about a new revelation here when we finally do see that there's alien life somewhere else or what have you, because I think that we may find that if they are around a star like our own, that perhaps they're bipedal beings like ours. I think that bipedalism is a naturally selected success trait. So clearly, we are the dominant species through a circuitous turn of events on our planet and all these extinctions. But maybe bipedalism will be one. So that would explain why we see grays. Okay, grays might be bipedal, and we think, hey, they've got 2 legs and 2 arms and 2 eyes. But that symmetry, you see, is another one for me that's very important. That symmetry is something that we see on almost every creature on this planet. It's called bilateral symmetry. They're the same across their center on both sides. Now, this is a trait perhaps related to our DNA. DNA is obviously the genetic blueprint that everybody has and that every creature, every animal has. Every small animal, everything, every life form on this planet is composed with DNA. I think it's important to understand that DNA, when it replicates, it unzips. Remember, it's a double helix. When it unzips, it's a single strand that goes into a cellular location in a cell where it's where the second half is duplicated and manufactured in the cell. Okay, so when that thing called RNA goes into the cell, it becomes a DNA strand when it comes out, basically. So that means that there's a symmetry involved there. So maybe our symmetry comes from that process. And if that comes from that process, it's something fed to us by the universe. It's a template provided by the universe. And so maybe what we're seeing is the same type of thing that we'll see elsewhere on other planets. Now, they may look different. They may be different looking, and their morality, if they're intelligent, may not be ours. We can't project human morality onto alien beings. But what we can say is that most likely, in my view, the high probability, not guarantee, but high probability is that they will be carbon-based life. And the high probability, not guaranteed, is that they will have DNA of some sort. Okay? This is something provided by the universe, and I think it's really important to understand that. And so it's that symmetry which is very important, and I think the symmetry is something that is what we're looking for when we look for other life. We also do the same thing. When we find other life forms, we're going to be looking for this bilateral symmetry, especially the advanced life forms. Amanda, do we have any questions at the moment?
We do, as a matter of fact. Jacob wants to know, why do scientists think that alien life would be found around red dwarf stars when we live around a star like ours?
That's an excellent question, Jacob. Red dwarf stars are the most common star in our galaxy and likely the universe. Yet you cannot see a single one of them from the darkest location on Earth without a telescope. Why? Because their diameters are so small. They're slightly larger than Jupiter, perhaps. There's actually one star found smaller than Jupiter, an M-type star. Yes, It's just denser. But they're small. They're low. They have low luminosity, meaning their intrinsic brightness is very low, and the brightness of light falls away as the square of the distance. So something 4 times further is 16 times fainter. Okay, you're right. So 4 times 4 is 16. So they won't really show too well. So we have to use a telescope to photograph them. In SkyTour live stream, we see a lot of red stars, a lot of M stars every time. We can see them in our view, but we can't see them with our eye. And most of those planets, most of the planets found in the universe are going to be and are around these M-type stars. Yes, they're around A, even B, and it goes O, B, A, F, G, K, M, as Amanda is fond of letting us know when we talk about it, from hottest to coolest. And you can have planets around A stars, F stars, G stars, of course, we're one. G2 is one of ours, we're G2. K stars, and then M. So B, A, F, G, K, M can house planets. Life, maybe A, but definitely F, G, K, and M can support life. But does it? We don't know. We haven't found it yet. But M stars are the most populous star in the universe, and they have the most planets because they're the most popular star in the universe. So if there was going to be life around these stars, the planets that surround these stars are probably going to be having a characteristic known as tidal locking in play. What that means is they will have the same side facing the star at all times, just like the moon always faces one face toward us as it orbits our Earth. Tidal locking is a gravitational game played between 2 objects of mass. The closer you are, the more likely tidal locking will occur. And because M stars are very, very faint and also very small, talking about M stars and their planets it's easier to talk about Jupiter with its moons than talking about the sun with its planets when you talk about M stars. So these M stars will have these tidally locked planets where you'll always have perpetual noon and perpetual, when you're in the middle of the hemisphere on the sunlit side, perpetual sunset when you're near the edge, and perpetual night when you're on the dark side. Now, what if you developed on the dark side as a civilization? Well, guess what? You'd probably have very large eyes. Eyes seem to be something that every creature tends to have. Some type of sensory apparatus is very important. And the predominant one is eyeballs of some kind. So they'd probably have eyes. And those eyes would probably be very large because the light is so dim. And then their skin tone might have just evolved to be thick to withstand or provide insulation because it wouldn't be as warm on the dark side as it is on the light side. So perhaps that is where grays come from. Big black almond-shaped eyes, and gray skin. Perhaps. I don't know. So this is something that we have to investigate. This is going to be something which is going to basically blow open our science, as Daryl said before. It's going to upset a lot of apple carts on planet Earth. But I think it's an upset that we need. I think we need to see this stuff. I think we need to experience it. And I think we need to find that life elsewhere. I don't doubt that we can. I just think that it's going to take time. What say you, Amanda?
Oops,
okay.
Unmute. Sorry.
Yeah, unmute. Okay, good. I was worried. Okay, go ahead. Nope. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know about the different stars. I can't really talk on that where they would be most likely to be formed and stuff, but we'll see. I
feel
bad being skeptical, but
I was referring to what you think about the prospects of finding life elsewhere, versus like around M stars, say, versus G stars. If we're around G stars, then most likely other life is, as well, because certainly we represent a sample of such a life form with tremendous diversity on our planet, in spite of 5 major extinction events that killed up to 97% of life on this planet at one point. So clearly, we have an awful lot of life forms here that are resilient, tenacious, and most important, adaptable. And that adaptability is how we came about. Remember evolution. Evolution is mutation followed by adaptation. And there have been a lot of mutations here on our planet. And a life form that could survive with that mutation and put it to good use is adaptable and selected automatically by natural selection, right, to succeed. So we've actually talked about a lot of things tonight. Daryl, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to throw in before we close for the evening?
No, I'm good. I just, go get your women somewhere else, aliens, and don't make me for dinner.
Yeah.
It's like I called the high priest. I said, "Hey, high priest, what time's the execution tonight? What time's the sacrifice?" He goes, "Well, what time could you be here?"
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, guys, my wonderful audience, our wonderful audience, Daryl and Amanda, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Sky Tour Radio.
This was a fun discussion.
It was. I enjoyed the interactive nature of our discussion sometimes. And even when it doesn't go my way, and it's perfectly okay. I'm very healthily skeptical as well. Folks, look for us on Sky Tour live stream on YouTube, where we will bring you that deep sky every clear night. Tonight is not clear, but I want to thank all of you who joined us all in the last week for nearly a continuous full week of streams. We gained a lot of subscribers. Well, join us and subscribe, hang loose, and enjoy our company. We'll enjoy yours. You can meet us and greet us at conferences. And you can also talk to us at Sky Tour Radio at kgraradio.com if you wish, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Folks, it's September 29th, 2019. I want to thank you for joining us here. From all of us to all of you, you guys have a good night, and don't forget, keep looking up.